Hi there. It's Crystal and Alan Johnson here with the AJ team. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good. Well, we're coming to you as buyers,
Hmm.
right? So often you guys see us coming to you as real estate professionals, which of course we are. But in this instance, we are giving you the perspective of us as home buyers in this very interesting real estate market.
Yeah. So the question that we're going to cover, question we get from a lot of our friends is, how did you go about the mindset of giving up a 2.5% interest rate on the home that we're currently in and acquiring a property with a higher interest rate?
Yeah. And that's a great question. I will tell you that it wasn't something that we entered into lightly. But, long story short, the really way to kind of we thought about it was the fact that we were transferring equity, right, from one property that we've held for the past, 11 years to our new property. So at the end of the day, as we look at those numbers, the realization was that we're not losing anything, right? We are transitioning our equity from one property to another property.
Yeah. And I think the other things when it comes down, so there are two sides of it. And we'll cover the financial side and then we'll cover the family side next. So on the financial side, it was taxes, right? Especially for people who earn a certain amount of income, you're going to pay taxes regardless, right? So that depreciation was there for the more expensive property. Number two, the potential for appreciation. You and I, we've been shopping for a home that's been above $1 million for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And honestly, didn't know how competitive it was. We made offers on 2 or 3 properties and it seemed, from the outside looking in, you wouldn't think that above $1 million, that 1.1 to 1.5 was as competitive as it was in Prince William County, but it was arguably more competitive than homes that were between 750 and $1 million. So that told us that there was an opportunity for appreciation.
Yes.
And then last but not least, multi-generational thought process. We had a client who sold their property in Springfield,
Yes.
and they were putting their parents into the tribute up here. And the price
Oh, yeah.
that they were paying per month, it just made a lot of sense for us to as our parents get older, to have a spot where we can bring someone in that, number one, would make us feel better, and number two, would be more financially prudent.
Yeah, no, for certain. And I think that was a really big part of our decision-making process too. We were kind of making sure that we were future casting, right? While we're not under those circumstances right at this moment, it was important for us to plan those things now, because the worst thing can happen sometimes when you're making these real estate decisions is for you to be in a scenario where you don't have options to think through your decision. We wanted to make sure that we had a clear mind, clear opportunity to really think through what the next few years or the future would look like, so we can make the best decisions right now.
Yeah. And then I remember the conversation we had with my mom and my dad about my house. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that, when your mom set us down and we were talking about just, looking at the price, right? Finances play a big role in your decision-making process when buying a house. And, one of our trepidations that we had was that, we're moving from a mortgage that is probably a third of the price of what we're going to be paying. So, sometimes that's a bitter pill to swallow. But the reality of the situation was, especially after having the conversation with your mom, and I know that you can talk a little about this a little more, but the conversation was like, it's all about the lifestyle and the memories that you want to have, right? And basically what she mentioned to us was that there were certain things that we were never going to forget, right? The time that we spend with our family and friends and our 2 daughters in that house, the time that we get to connect and invite people into our home. But there were things that we were going to forget, which was what that mortgage rate was. Is it going to really matter in the long term? And that's how we got to our conclusion.
Yeah, and then she actually made me do an exercise. She said, look up what the interest rate was when you moved into the last house that you were in.
Yeah.
Right. So when I looked it up, it was like 12%. And she said, I don't remember what that interest rate was, but I remember the times that you had at the house. And she basically said she was not willing to discount those times based on the interest rate.
Yeah, the memories are worth more than the interest rate.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you guys are thinking about moving up, you are not the only person that's going through the same thought process.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. We really wanted to be as transparent as we possibly can about this process, because we know, like, It's one thing to be a real estate agent. It's another thing to be in your shoes and for you to be in our shoes. And we'd love to help you think through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just tell you that even as, professionals, right, we could feel silly about like, why are we going through this whole process? But it doesn't matter the level of experience or exposure you have. Making a home purchase is a very emotional decision. So it's important that you have the right people to help navigate you through that process. So if you're thinking about moving up, selling your home, or buying a new home, who do you call?
I'm going to call the age 18.
Yeah, we
You got,
look.
you got to go ahead.
You have the dream.
We have the address.
See ya.
See you soon.